Hello, welcome to Animal Audit Corner. And we are headed into fall, and I am definitely going to plan fall recipes next week. So today, you always know I make my entrance. You just left Scientology or other cults, and you're looking to transition into the outside world from the cult. Now, you got your aids from the MJR Aftermath Foundation and the SPTV Foundation. You got a roof over your head. You got your car, you got your clothes on your back. You got brand new clothes on your back, and you got all your personal needs. Private clothes, as you can, but I'm not going to get personal with you guys. But however, and there's one thing that you need to survive. That's cooking for yourself. Now, as you know, sometimes they have this one person cook, but not let the other cook. Sometimes, Scientology gives beans and rice to people as punishment. Well, guess what? We're not going to punish you in my kitchen, and neither is anyone else. Well, good people anyway. But however, today we are making banana pancakes. So, this is what we're going to do. Now, I know it's radic since I made the blueberry pancakes before, and you're thinking, it's the same recipe, right? Well, technically, yes, but this time we're putting bananas in there. And we're adding 2 teaspoons of vanilla. So we're going to add to it. So, darn. Let me rinse this out. Alrighty. You know what? This needs to be washed off. Hold on there. Okay. Okay. Oh, sorry about the dead air, everybody. Okay. So where is... here we go. My big cup, where is it? Oh, boy. Oh, darn it. All right. Oh, sorry about the dead air, everybody. So let me get right down to it. So we're going to need 2.5 cups of flour. Oh, there it is. All right. Sorry, my mind wandered. And I got ADHD, so on occasion, my mind's going to wander. So, all right. So we're going to need 2.5 cups of a flour. Okay. All right. There. So each and every time I add an ingredient, I'm going to put everything back so I can have more room here. All right. All right. There we go. Okay. Okay, so then I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of sugar. And as you know, have the natural kind without any of the bleach. And again, everybody, I got to apologize for letting my mind wander. Okay. All right. And then after we add the sugar in, we are going to whisk as we all add each and every ingredient. But the trick is, use a stiffer, put your flour in there, and use it. If you use that, it's so great. Use it. By all means, use it. I have one, but for some reason, I have a hard time getting it to work. So now we're going to whisk it. And as we add the ingredients, we are going to whisk it. Then we're going to add 3 tablespoons of baking powder. I know I made pancakes before, but I added another ingredient. And of course, it's going to be different since there's going to be bananas in there. So 3 tablespoons, and this is vegan. 3 tablespoons of baking powder. Did I put 3 tablespoons in there? Boy, I'm absent-minded today. So we'll just put in a little more. Okay, so 3 tablespoons. Do as I say, not as I do. All right. And then we're going to put it back so I can have even more room. And then we're going to whisk it since I'm not using my stiffer. All righty. Okay. Now, okay. Now, after you do that, add about a half a teaspoon of salt. Now, I don't want to put salt in there today. I prefer not to. But it's optional. So you can decide whether or not you want salt. But however, if your doctor advises you not to actually use it, that's fine. Also, down below, I have a primary care doctor at the comment at the link. The links are down below. All right. Sorry about the dead air again. All right. And then we're going to add 2.5 cups of non-dairy milk. So let me get them. Okay. This is done. Well, throw that in the sink. Of course, that is recyclable. And later on, I'm going to rinse it, put it in recycling. Okay, so I'm going to open this. Okay. One. And this is 2.5 because the extra cup is on top. So there we go. So that's 2.5 cups. The half is at the top. So all right, so then we're gonna pour it in. And then we're gonna whisk it. And of course, right when I mix it and after I start cooking it, I'm starting to get into my stories too. All right. All righty. Now, we're going to add in a tablespoon of olive oil. Now, yes, olive oil is actually not good for you, but on occasions, sometimes if you have olive oil, it'll be good antioxidants for you. This has antioxidants. So sometimes and on occasions you can have it. So we're just going to add a tablespoon. Okay. And then I am not going to put this in the pan because you know why? I got a cooking spray. I finally got my cooking spray. And you can use this for your waffle iron because, like I mentioned last week, as I mentioned last week, if you just use olive oil in there, you're going to have to like grease it up with a paper towel and it takes up too much time. Use this. And of course, this is also olive oil. Where is that? Okay. Alrighty. And then we're going to mix it up. Yes, oil is bad for you if you have so much of it. It's not good for you. It'll clog up your arteries. So you can if you use other oils, switch onto olive oil. It has antioxidants in it. So you can have it on occasion. But I guess sometimes you can use the other oils too, just not so much of it. And frying, no good. So I don't have that much fried foods at all. Okay. And now, new thing, I am going to add a teaspoon here. Did I use the tablespoon? Yeah, I did. Okay. All right. I'm going to toss this. I don't know where this came from. All right. Okay. Now we're going to whisk it and use the teaspoon if I can find it. Okay. Found my teaspoon. And I'm going to add the 2 teaspoons of vanilla in, so I added something new in there. So, past mistakes, I will find some way to sneak it in and do it, but I'm also going to have another recipe to accompany it. Or put an extra ingredient in there. So you won't be totally bored saying, thinking, oh my God, it's still the same recipe. No, that means I'm going to add an extra ingredient in there. Okay. All righty. 1, 2. All right. There's your 2 teaspoons. All right. So we're going to whisk it up. All right. And we're going to actually, it's a good idea to have it on low heat when you're making pancakes. But, however, I'm going to turn it on just a little high. Oh, first, before I actually turn it on, I'm going to use my cooking spray. And, of course, if you use this, you won't have any of the extra base oil in there. And usually cooking sprays are just that, oil. So it adds less of the calories in there. So we're going to spray it up like that. That's all you need to do. And if it runs out and it's thick and it's not as greasy, use this. Because you cannot have your food stick. Having my morning coffee, as you can tell, it's still the summer a little bit, but we are going in to the fall. And like I mentioned before, I will start coming up with fall recipes. New season. And now I'm going to do seasonal recipes. If I mess up and I actually go on to summer recipes, I apologize, but some days I'm going to go off on it. So we're going to whisk it. And now we're going to add in all the bananas. Okay, so let me get my okay. Alrighty, so it doesn't look like there's Okay, all the lumps are gone, so you won't need this. Okay. Or guess what? Sometimes when you want to make several dollars, add, okay, I'll get to it in a sec. I'm going to dump this in the sink. Okay. And I'm going to start adding the bananas. All right. And then I'm going to use this to stir now. Okay. I don't want to whisk it because the banana is going to be stuck in the whisk. So I'm going to add this. Yes. Every time I have one of these, I tend to want to use it all up at the end. So, yeah. This is appropriate for baking, not eating. I had it before and it tasted a little bit too sweet to my taste. So we're going to add these into the pancakes. Like I said, we're making. Okay, so then. All right, so there's a brown spot in there. But of course, it's not going to hurt any if we actually. All right. And of course, we're going to break it up. And okay. Then as I add every bananas, I am going to stir it. And of course, I'm not only going to cut it once, I'm going to cut it twice to actually put it in. Am I going to eat it all today? No, I'm going to put it all in the freezer. And then I'm going to have it for other days, like next Friday or Saturday. So we're going to stir it up. And then I'm going to add my. All right. See, I cut it from here and I split it down the middle like I'm making banana splits. And you know, that's America's favorite dessert. Banana splits. I used to love having them a lot when I was a kid. So, of course, sometimes you're going to have to watch what you eat. So, split it in half and then cut it again. It'll appear to be there's a little bit more bananas in there. There we go. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. All right, so we are going to do the same thing with this. Only let's try with the banana peel on and see how this turns out. So we're going to cut it in half. In the middle, we're going to wedge it and cut it. And then we're going to add this in. Okay. And you know, I added an extra ingredient, so I had to do it today. But yeah, I'm not going to keep doing the same recipes over and over again unless I add at least a couple of ingredients in. So, of course, I will do different recipes, especially for my culture, which is Middle Eastern. And of course, eventually I will make baklava. All right. Threw the banana away. All right. Now we're going to mix all the ingredients up. I'm going to put this away. We're going to stir this up. All right, let's get into all the stories. Of course, you know, we want to avoid dead air at all times. So as we're making our pancakes, stirring it up, of course, I'm not going to eat everything in here. So what I'm going to do is only eat a certain amount and then throw the rest in the freezer. That will save you money from buying marketed pancakes, waffles, whatever. This will save you money. Okay, so we're going to stir it up. All right. Okay, we're going to stir it up. Oh, we're going to turn on the heat. That's what we're going to do. You keep it on low or somewhere between the low temperatures. But I'm going to turn on a little high so I won't accidentally go too long. So just a little bit. I'll have it on 4. So then I'm going to mix and mix until all the lumps are gone. So today I added an extra ingredient, which is vanilla. And I also put bananas in, so it's different from the blueberries. Okay. Now, stir. All right. And let's see, what Scientology and other cult-related news do we have? All right. All right. As you know, all cults program their subjects, including to Jehovah's Witness. Now, don't be fooled by what platform they use. They use Jesus and the Lord. It's still just as well as a cult. Only they took up a couple of verses of the Bible and just used it. Just because they're talking about God and Jesus doesn't mean it's not a cult. It is, but they used it in a different form and use it to gaslight people. So just because they're talking about a platform like that does not mean they are gentle. No. It is different from Christianity. It is a cult because there are survivors that came out of it talking about all the abuses they've endured by Jehovah's Witnesses. So now there is a link. Okay, next time I know I'm going to talk about Jehovah's Witnesses again. The next time I'm in the kitchen, I will have it at the link down below. All right, so we're going to stir this up. Okay, just a tad more. Because it can't be warm. It has to be really, really, really hot. All right. Okay, there we go. Okay. Today I'm only gonna have 5 of these, and the rest goes in the freezer. So makes 15 to 20 pancakes. So of course I'm not gonna eat all 20 Then I'm gonna stick it in the freezer. So this is a best thing to have for brunch when you're having people over. All right. So Jehovah's Witnesses, and you know how they get cocky when they say when people ask them not to come to the door ever again, they would turn around and come up with, well, then don't go to the door. Still, if somebody says, if you're watching Jehovah's Witnesses, if somebody says, don't come to their door again, do it. So, yeah, they're just, I got a response like that. I'm like, what if somebody doesn't want you to come to the door? Don't answer it. That means do not come to the door. So, yeah, they would come up with a snarty remark like that. I can admit it's not cool. People ask you not to come to their door, don't go. So, yeah, they just, but that's smart. Well, since they have the abuse, but Scientology is more worse than they are. But they're going to claim that they're evil, which they are, but they are also evil because they abuse all their parishioners. Okay. So I don't know why I didn't think of it. I should have put the links down below. If I thought of it, I would have done it. So there we go. All right, now we're gonna throw this in the sink. We don't no longer need it. Okay. All right. Let's see. Ooh, okay. There's a little tip I want to give you. Use a tablespoon. And if you want to make silver dollars, put it in. And you got your silver dollar. So, but right now, guess what? I'm going to make the big version, but I'm going to let that cook a bit. And it, believe it or not, it cooks a little bit more faster than the regular pancake. But great tips to give you if you're making it for your kids. It'll be a good meal for your kids. Okay. All right. Okay. Let's see. And of course, you know, one of the former Jehovah's Witnesses were on Natalie's channel. So there we go. And let's see. They talked about what his experiences were like and what they have in Jehovah's Witnesses. With one, Scientology has a leader, David Miscavige, but they also have panels of people that I guess discontinued. Yeah, well, something like that. If they feel they need to kick them out, they would. Only they use the Lord to do it. And that's the abuse they use. They use the Lord and they start abusing people. All right. But they have a panel and they're the David Miscaviges. And I just forgot the word that they use, but yeah, they're the David Miscaviges of the Jehovah's Witnesses world. And let's see what else. All right, they go from neighborhood to neighborhood, and it is a nuisance. One day they were outside my door, and they were a pain. And she just walked up like, "Ew, it's real good. I'm talking about the Lord," and says that she was going to have him at a big amphitheater of a college. I'm like, okay, I don't want any of it. Now, just because somebody talks about Jesus and the good Lord doesn't mean they're good. That's just their cover. But they do worship God and Jesus, but in a... All right. And after it's done on the other side, I'll show you the silver dollar. Of course, I hope I don't burn myself. All right. And let's see. What else is there? Yeah, and there are some cults that make up a religion, like Scientology's Senior Intergalactic Warlord. Okay. All right. Yeah, it is bizarre. So either they make one up or they use the good Lord and Jesus to draw in their victims. Now, since the internet came around, their secrets came out. Yesterday, no one had a clue what they did. All right. This was when the internet wasn't around. All right, looks like it's done. This is what it looks like. There's your silver dollar. Of course, I forgot my plate. Let me get it. All right. So, okay. All righty. So now we are going to use the half cup. We're going to use this to actually, no, 1/3 cup. We're going to use this. Yeah, I got all these cups lying around. Of course. Alrighty. We're going to turn it down a bit because it's smoking. All right. This is going to make 15 to 20. Of course, I'm not going to eat it all. So, and if there's any sticking to the cup, just take your spoon, scoop it out. Alrighty. Okay, and you know, every weekend I am in my kitchen cooking. This is kicking back, taking a break from all the stories I write up for you about not only the research I do, but I also spotlight all the advocates that are advocating with the victims of Scientology. These are the former victims that they're advocating with. Along with me, I'm also advocating them. But, okay. Now, oops. Okay. All right, so we're going to let this cook up. All right, what else is there? Yeah, I can't get over what happened yesterday. Somebody wiped out my post that I was going to put for this show. Now, I don't know who could have been, but you know what? And I thought, oh, it's Scientology up to their tactics again. And there's nobody out there to help them. Help me. I can't go to the police. I can't go to the FBI. They're going to come up with a tactic to get away with it. Because they're slick. Let's face it. All right, so now we're going to flip this pancake. All right. And let's see, what else? Yeah, I just can't get over what happened yesterday. It was awful. And of course, I keep repeating it, and it does bother me. So they do things to people with mental illness, too. Not just within their cult, but outside of their cult. If they have the certain paranoia in them, and that caused them to actually hack into my computer, and I was unable to get in. But one day I called the computer company, and they fixed it up so nobody can ever hack into it again. And I get in without any problems now. But I don't think there's anyone out there that'll help anyone. But what can you do? The FBI says there's no evidence, where in fact Claire, Mark, and the other victims went to them and told them everything. Now, in court of law, they're considered evidence. But they won't do anything. And it's frustrating to them and to everybody else in the world, because guess what? They're wreaking havoc. So it's horrible. Okay, this is ready to go right onto the plate. We're going to use the next one. Oops. Okay, here we go. Now I'm going to use my spoon to scoop it out. Okay. Oh, this reminds me of the day my mother used to make all those great pancakes and cakes. I keep saying this. I always want to lick the bowl, but guess what? She's great. When she was around when me and my brother were kids, we did not pull off at licking the bowl like the rest of you, because guess what? She was good at wiping every single bowl clean. And it looked like somebody just washed it. So, yeah, we did not succeed on that. But, however, okay. Now we're going to let this cook. Boy, and let's see what else is there. I can remember. Oh, yeah, guess what? There's going to be a big protest in Clearwater, Florida. And all the SPTV personalities would be there. I wish I can go, but first of all, I can't afford that kind of money, because if I try to spend my money down there, all of it will be gone. So I can't go down there, and plus I'll get lost in a crowd, because I only get one viewer. Nobody's going to know who I am. And this, I don't know. Now, I don't know if it's buffer squirrel, which I'm starting to doubt that it is, or Scientology. Okay, now we're going to flip this over, and it's totally brown. It's so beautiful. Oh, but every single morning I just have juice and coffee, and then if I get hungry, I would have lunch, and then, well, maybe a snack. But if I'm really, really hungry, then yes, I would have like a sandwich. And then I would have dinner. Of course, usually I have a salad. And okay. Now, what else is there? Okay. Do I have anybody watching me? I don't know. Is it on the internet? You know what? I'm starting to wonder. All right. And okay. And all right, this is done. And I'm going to put in the next scoop. And then the next scoop. Okay. Now, is this where I am a big tourist attraction? I don't really think so. But where I grew up, it definitely is. Okay. And yeah, I live in Boston. Okay. I'll scoop this out. Yeah, I grew up going to Faneuil Hall Marketplace. Oh, yes. The pesky Scientologists are on the street of where I used to go to all my appointments with my mother. Growing up, I saw a psychologist back then too. But then after a while, my father thought, I don't know, there was nothing wrong with me where in fact there was. So anyways, let's see what else. Anyways, I'm there. I always went down the street on Commerce. And back then, my mother took me to my appointments, and then we went to McDonald's. That was the biggest event of my life. Yes, I was a kid, and we go to McDonald's a lot. My mother loved it, and I loved it. She always saw the smile on me every time I got a Happy Meal. Of course, they started having Happy Meals somewhere at the end of the 70s. So there it is. I got a Happy Meal. That's when it started, end of the 70s. So it was like 77 through, I think either 77 through 79 is when it started coming around. All right, let's see here. And of course now, I saw it on YouTube the other day. Scientology's there, and I got mortified. Of course, you know, this is a free country. They have a right to open up wherever they want, according to the Constitution. So they're not breaking any laws by opening shop there, but they're breaking laws by now. They've written laws in the books in Boston. Of course, Cubs fan mentioned you cannot threaten people. That's a criminal offense down there. Everywhere else, I don't know. I'll look it up, see if I remember to do it. But yeah, Cubs fan called the police, and of course, one day I saw two female police officers enter, talk to him. Of course, they always get so frustrated now that they have all the protesters. And I'm like, well, guess what? You reap what you sow. Okay. All right. Okay, let's see here. All right, done. We're going to add another scoop. All right. Hopefully, I entertained you pretty well about my little girl stories when me and my brother were kids and what all the fun things we used to do. Nobody remembers this, but me and my family one day splashed water at each other in the house. But that was the last time we did it. Because then my mother did not allow it after that. It was me, my brother, my cousin, and my mother. But then she said, this is it. We're not doing it anymore. It's not good. Because everything's going to get all wet. People will get mad. And of course, one day on L. Ron Hubbard Drive, one of the Scientologists assaulted one of the protesters with the water. Now, if they were to do that, one of them will call the LAPD, and the LAPD is always there when Scientology calls them. But whenever a protester calls them, they take anywhere between 45 minutes and never. Well, no, 45 minutes at David Miscavige's request. It's awful and it's dangerous, but it doesn't look like they do it everywhere else. Of course, wait a minute. I think Aaron called the police in Clearwater, but maybe they took a little long. Yeah, but in Los Angeles, they took about 45 minutes, which is ridiculous. For all they knew, one of the Scientologists would have harmed them in some way, and the police aren't there. So, and by then, that Scientologist would have gotten away. All right. So, there's the batter balls. Of course, we love those batter balls. See? All right. So we're going to put this back on the heat. And yeah. But I haven't observed them come to their rescue as much anymore since it was all exposed on the internet. That's right. Scientology's favorite tool that they hate so much. Because guess what? They're not allowed to get away with half the stuff they used to get away with. But they're still infiltrating each and every government agency. So they're getting in. So, am I going to say what I'm going to do next? No. And there's no way that any Scientologists don't know where I live. They only know I have an internet. And are they hacking into it? Possibly, because I mentioned what happened yesterday. And so, no, they don't know where I live, I think. All right. Let's see. Okay, we're going to check on this. Yep, it's done. Flip it over. And, nice fluffy recipe. All right, what else is there? All right. Yeah. Yeah, we haven't seen Natalie as much since she's working. So hopefully she'll come back. I mean, she was in one interview with Aaron. Oh, boy, it's great. All right. Now, today I'm going to write my next story about what's going to happen next. And this one is going to be about the lies that Scientology took and them tolerating hunting. So that's going to be the story tomorrow that I'm going to create. All right. And of course, I should have said that at the end. And what else? Now, yeah, all the things that all the Scientologists who work for them, they're getting very little pay and no one will help them. Nobody in the outside world will help them. Not the police, not the FBI agents. And it's tragic. And Mark and Claire and other former Scientologists went right into the FBI and told them everything. And the FBI told them, we don't have direct evidence. And of course, there were the witnesses and the people that went through it, but they don't use whatever it is they tell them. It is unbelievable that they're not doing anything. Okay. All right. Okay, this is definitely done. All right. Put in the next one. Okay. I just feel for those victims that are trapped. How are they working slave labor? David Miscavige has them volunteering. He even uses it in his household. While he feasts on animals that were tortured while they were being prepared for his plate to eat. And what is so unusual that he is eating in fancy restaurants, eating fancy meals, steak dinners, which is horrible since they came from a cow and a cow was murdered and was suffering in the process of being prepared for David's deadly dish. So it is just so unbelievably horrible. Okay. Perfect pancake ever. So, gonna check on the pancake in the bottom. Flip it over. That'll hold me in. I am really starving. Now, what time is it now? Let's check. Oh, it's 11:30. It's going into lunch. Well, it's brunch on the weekend, but it looks like brunch goes anywhere between 6, 7 until 12. And then we start having lunch. But usually I don't eat lunch. now I'm trying to eat less, and it's showing on my scale. So, okay. Alrighty. You know what? I left on my TV. It wastes electricity. Let me go shut it off. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Shut off my TV because guess what? It wastes electricity. I should have shut it off in the first place. So, all right. Okay. All right. That one's done. Okay. I'm going to put in the next scoop. All right. Okay. All right, there we go. All right, let's see what else. Oh, guess what? When I went into the room to shut it off, Little House on the Prairie was on, and the family was at a circus. Of course, you know, Bottom and Bailey is now finished. No longer exists. Good news for us animal rights activists. So they're gone. Their last show was, I think, 2 or 3 years ago, maybe a little bit later. So don't look for Bonham and Bailey. They're done. Okay. So, and what else is there? A little brain buster here. So this is good for me to think with all the ADHD that I have. Yesterday, what did I do? Yes. Okay. I was coming up with stories that I'm going to write today and then come to you tomorrow. Of course, I have to make time to get on my treadmill. So. All right. There we go. Okay. All righty. And we can't have all this dead air. All right, let's see. Went shopping last week. Of course, I made sure I got all my ingredients for the weekend. And of course, you know, I'm on here every weekend. So I made sure I get all my ingredients together. Oh, I just remembered something. Let me go get it. Okay. And here it is. Yesterday's strawberry preserved. I'm going to move it a little closer. What is it like? Let's see. Now, since this is vegan, it might be a little runny. So Yeah. This is all 4 pounds of it. Of course, guess what? Another creative thing to do. Use it on your pancakes and other breakfast foods. Pretty swell idea, huh? Of course, it's not stiff like the other strawberry preserves or other preserves because or jam or, yeah, because they add gel in it. And of course, that comes from the bone marrow of the animal. And I usually don't have that in my menu. Of course. There we go. Okay. Now, am I going to use it for my toast? Yes, definitely. So, believe it or not, that's all 4 pounds of the strawberry I made for yesterday. This is all 4 pounds of it. It's hard to believe, but there it is. And there were slices, okay. And then the fall is coming up, so guess what? Possibly I came up with another recipe. Cranberry and strawberry jam. Of course, that would stiffen too. So, all right. What else is there? Oops. Gotta check on this. Oh, it's perfect. I made the perfect pancake. All right. All right. And you know what's frustrating? Scientology always comes up with a story saying, oh, everybody's a bigot, and they accuse everybody of being a bigot. That's their only story that they can come up with. When they say, you're a bigot, that's their only defense. And sometimes I end up laughing because they have nothing to go by, so they just come right out and say it. But at the same time, that's their only line of defense, which is funny sometimes. Okay, there. All righty. So, and let me think here. Boy, I miss my hometown of Boston. Of course, I'm living at another location now. Not going to stay. Well, I'm living in Cleveland, but I'm not disclosing my information, where I am or where I'm living, because of Scientology. And now, oh boy. Okay. I'm hoping, well, it looks like I'm going to have a late brunch. So, all right. And then later, what am I going to have? Let's see. I do not know. Okay, let me see. Am I going to come back later? No. But, however, I think I'm going to change my time from 4 to 7. So it gives me more time to write my stories. So I'll be on streaming from 7 to 8, somewhere around there, because it doesn't look like 4 o'clock is working for me, but it looks like 7 o'clock works. So it's between 7 and 8. And I'm trying to put that on my YouTube sites, but geez. Alrighty. And it is unbelievable that they're calling Davy captain, or he thinks he's the captain of a ship. So it's Davy from the fake space Navy. We keep calling him that, and we should, because he deserves it. So, but is he like similar to a mob boss? No, he's not, because they're not allowed to put their hands on. The moment they get new members of La Cosa Nostra or Mafia, he has to tell them, and the commission is expecting him to tell the members not to put their hands on another made man. He can't even put his hands on another made man. Because if the commission finds out about it, that's it. His life is over. So, no, he is not similar to the mafia boss. No. Despite of what they hear. Of course, it can get easily mixed up. I would have went with the same explanation too if I haven't done my research on a book that I'm writing. I'm still trying to write my last story, my very last story. What publisher am I going to send it to? Not going to say anything. So is somebody tapping into my computer? I don't know. Probably I don't have a clue. So, all right. And the dead air. Okay, what else is there? Yeah, I'm not giving out the locations of where I am. But so far, I'm wondering, I am sort of not comfortable with using my own computer for some reason, and nobody's going to help. It's unbelievable. All right. Now, there we go. Flipped it over. Okay. What else is there? No, I keep telling you guys to tell my friends, but how you guys telling your friends? I don't know. But all right. Let's think here. Yeah. Now, this internet is practically driving Scientology crazy, because guess what? The stories about Scientology is not coming out as much as it was in the 70s or 80s, because guess what? There was no internet. There were victims coming out and talking about their stories on Donahue and other news, but it just didn't spread like wildfire, like the internet, because it just blew up and everybody started to find out about Scientology and what they're all about. They are a criminal organization. All right. They're not a religion. We all thought, I even thought that they were a religion. But then, yes, like I said, there's the internet. And I found out about it with the rest of you guys. And then I found out how they treat people with mental illness. They abuse them, and then according to L. Ron Hubbard, that we should be throwing away. Now that is unbelievably cruel. So then one day I thought, you know what? I'm going to have my own channel. Since I had my platform in the past as an actress, performer, I decided, you know what? I'm not going to let them get away with it. I'm going to expose them with the rest of America, with the rest of the SPTV crew. Now, I'll keep an eye out outside my door, but there are a couple of possibilities. And also, when the protesters protest, they have to ask for aid. And of course, all you good people out there, help them out a lot. They have, now some states are not, well, maybe, but in some states, the GoFundMe is not funding any criminal. So I guess some of them are, but then there's others that might. So people been helping them out on PayPal, and they did it for Scott Holstinger, but I hope I said his name right, but usually they end up losing, and they are frustrated, and it's driving David Miscavige crazy because he thinks they're a criminal when in fact he's the criminal. Yeah. L. Ron Hubbard was an evil genius, and I can give him credit for that. Oh, look at this one. This is a good one. Yeah. All right. So then we're going to put it here, and then I'm going to wrap some of it up, put it away. And the banana bread I made, it's a little bit too sweet for my taste. How long did it last? Let's see here. Okay, it's still there. There's a little bit left. Of course, I ate them on the weekend. So usually I eat fruits and vegetables during the week. So, of course, I don't know portion control, and I'm trying to actually watch it. But yeah, usually I have fruits and vegetables. Okay. All right. And okay. All right, it didn't fall all the way in. Okay. And let's see. What else is going on? Oh. All right. Yeah. Let me think. Yeah. Some of law enforcement doesn't know what Scientology is. So we're going to have to educate them on Scientology. So, because one day this summer, the summer we're living right now, I had no clue what Scientology was. So the rest of us and the rest of the SPs are gonna inform them somehow. Because they taken over the LA LAPD completely. They have their drug-free pamphlets, and they're thinking, oh, wow, what a great organization because they have this drug-free stuff. But no, they totally corrupted the LAPD, half of them at least, because not each and every LAPD officer is going to do what those officers done. Because one of them was caught trying to slash a tire. And that person called themselves a police officer. Now, and of course, last year, as we recalled, a couple of them were watching on the side to see if they can arrest the protester. They didn't succeed, but they did arrest the Scientologist. Because guess what? They had no other option. And they're not able to talk themselves out of that one. So he got arrested, sure enough. So I bet you they were hiding to see if they could actually arrest the protester. But no, they end up arresting a Scientologist. Yeah. And of course, you know they're known for abusing animals. And now, oh my gosh, I'm trying to find other animal abuse stories from Scientology, but I can't find any. Now, I don't know if I want to come up with a satanic story. So it has to be the J-rated version because I can't take what they do. That's the art of dark magic. So I usually don't watch that one. But that's the root of Scientology. They use black magic, the art of dark magic. Not the art of white magic, which uses using it for positive purposes, the white magic. But yeah, their roots are into dark magic. The black occult, which is the black witchcraft. So some witches who use their platforms for good purposes like Wicca, but the other white magics that's practicing it aren't a religion. It's a form of practice that they're using. But Wicca is a religion. But yes, they don't notice it in London, but no, they don't use it for evil purposes like dark magic does and what Scientology is rooted on. It's rooted on dark magic in the occult. The occult's dark magic. Of course, guess what? There's good and bad in everything. Because I came across a story on the internet about a priest that killed a nun. She was assaulted and then killed by a priest. What was the motive? I don't remember. But guess what happened? The detectives and the police department gave him a free pass. They never should have done that. But then guess what? He died of a heart attack. Where is he now? That remains to be seen. All right. Is he in heaven? I don't know, maybe. Is he in the other thing? I think so. He killed a nun. So there's good and bad in everything. Now, I'm not going to diss all Christians. That's not what I'm going to do. Some of them also judge the LGBTQ committee. But I don't know if it's here or in another state, but one state is not, one church somewhere in the United States is not letting gays and lesbians enter their church. And they are preaching acceptance, but yet they're kicking out and judging the LGBTQ community, and they're going to use the Bible to do that. Now, I agree the Bible is not meant to be evil, but yeah. But they use it, and plus, things are popping up. Like suicide, that's also against the Bible, and they condemn it. But nowadays, we find that it's mental illness that contributed it. Did they excuse it? I don't know. So, and what else is there? Okay, flip this one over. Okay. All right. And let's see what else is there. All right. Do I go to church? Maybe I mentioned this in other shows, my cooking segments, but on occasion I do. And the reason for that is sometimes they don't always practice what they preach. And guess what? Churches also use pagan decoration. So that's what I found out, of course, through the internet. They use it as a transition, but however, you're still using pagan decoration. It's not right. And you keep condemning them, but yet you're using pagan decoration, which is not right. Find something else to use then. Okay. Alrighty. This is done. Of course, this is getting all floated. Let's see. 2, 4. Okay, there are 6 here. All right. Now it's time to pour in the next one. All right. Now I'm gonna try every Friday to actually paint for you and talk about Scientology at the same time. So, okay. And as you know, as you enter my channel, I got all the paintings for you. Okay. Oh, and I'm also gonna bring up an actor. His name is Johnny Alonso. Now, he is not a big name actor. So, and his birthday is like a day before my brother's. My brother tortures me every way he can. All right, there. Yeah, I know I can't control what day a person is born, but it drives me crazy. So there it is, and we're almost to the end. and then I'll call it a day. Yeah, he actually is a non-name actor. He is a professional. He gets paid and all that jazz. And he's blessed. So I am proud to actually tell you about him. He had roles on FBI Files, One Tree Hill, Growing Pains the movie. He is just out there. And he's adorable and cute too. And he's 53 years old, but yet he looks like he's 32 and they cast him as a 32-year-old cat. Oh man, he is so adorable. And you should check out the other 3 that was in the FBI Files with him. Oh my gosh, they're cute and adorable. And one of them is handsome too. And oh my gosh, I started developing a crush. And yeah, one named Dave, and the other one, oh geez, what's the other one's name? Oh geez, sorry, but oh my God, those 2 actors were so cute, like Johnny Alonso. So, okie doke. So, flip it over. And yeah. And as you know, Scientology, well, it's brought up every time. They use tax-exempt money to hire private investigators. And they're a real nuisance to the former Scientologists. Now, they are wasting taxpayers' money because guess what? It's a wasteland for them. They use so much water. They make gallons of water. And they waste about 1 billion of it. Now, I saw a story on the internet. Now it's gone. And it's a possibility Scientology had something to do with it. I forgot the name of the reporter, though, that reported. Of course, ADHD does that. All right. This one's done. Okay. Put in the next one. And they use it for private investigators and high-priced attorneys. And Monique Mingling, I think that's her last name, that walking piranha, okay, is one of them. Is she leaving it? I'm not sure, but it might be a possibility. And it is disgusting when she do it. And she has no remorse whatsoever. Neither one of them do. Well, actually, the other day, I'm glad I remembered. I was trying to remember. Aaron Smith Levin. Oh, what did he bring up? Okay. I just lost it. Okay, let me see here. All right. Let me think here. All right. Let me think. Okay, I lost it. Maybe I'll think of it eventually. Okay, let's see. What else is there that I want to entertain you with? Okay. Okay. What could we use? Okay. All right. Let me think. I gotta get rid of the dead air. Okay. Let's see. Haven't saw. Well, I saw Chris Without a Hellcat a couple of weeks ago. He was doing an interview on people on the streets, and Jessica. Okay, Jessica Palmadessa. Of course, I did a story on her the other day. I just love spotlighting all the advocates and the former Scientologists. I am into character study. Now, guess what? Usually, you're going to have a side job for that event, unfortunately, because sometimes it just doesn't come through. So that's where the side job comes in. Of course, with me, I went back to school. And I'm planning to get it out. Of course, I still use the other side jobs. I didn't think of it until this year, but I'm not going to say what it is because, all right. Okay. And now, done. So, of course, I had a great time. I traveled while I went to school, and of course, I thought of a job because guess what? You're going to advance from what you are, and it's going to be used right after college. Of course, with me, it takes extra long because I'm on ADHD. So now we know Tom Cruise is working on a couple of movies. Are they actually going to make money? Lately, it did, but it's not the usual number one movie anymore. It's either at number 8 or number 10. So since the stories on Tom Cruise came out on the internet, it started to affect his box office. So, and one day, got another one. One day when there was an actor strike, Fran Drescher asked Tom Cruise if they can protest. He declined. And it's because he wanted to protect the box office money. And I bet you we know why. More money's going to go into Scientology from the movie industry. Of course, you know Tom Cruise donates 1% of his royalties to Scientology, which supports slave labor. So when you enter a movie theater, select another movie because that's where 1% of his paycheck going to. Okay. So, and you know, he's David's buddy. Okay. And what else is going on here? Yeah. Are there interesting shows this year? I mean, lately, TV wasn't as good as it was in the 50s through the 80s, and then the 90s it started going downhill. So there's hardly anything good on TV anymore due to reality shows. But however, we're watching it on the internet because I guess that's where it belongs. Not on network TV, but you know what? I don't think it belongs even on network internet, but sometimes you need to use it in order to put an end to something. And this would be Scientology. Or get them to actually change all their policies. But they're going to go with what L. Ron Hubbard wants from his grave or ashes or whatever it is he did. Okay. Unbelievable, isn't it? Okay, we're going to check on our pancake again. All right. Yes, it's starting to pile up, but I'm not going to eat all of it, trust me. All right. Okay, what I'm going to do is wrap most of it up and then put it in the freezer. Now, you can use the jam that we made yesterday. All right, let's scoop this out. Yeah, okay. Yeah. After breakfast, am I going to venture out? Maybe. I'm starting to get a little bit overwhelmed staying inside my house. Where am I going to go? Not going to say anything. All right. Just in case. But for some reason, even though Scientologists does these fair game tactics, the independent Scientologist is not, because one of them is protesting. So, all right. Because they're not letting her see her daughter. Awful. That poor woman. Oh, jeez. Okay. Accidentally burned myself. Hopefully it'll go away. All right. Here we go. Flip it. Masterpiece. All right. And it looks like that's the last of it. All right. Okay. And we're going to wind down after the next scoop. And then I'm going to eat at least 5 of these. Have the fresh maple syrup. Not the other pancake syrup, because they put in other. Yeah. And let's see here. What other stories are there that I want to tell? Let's see. Oh, yeah. And guess where the money goes to? Of course, you know David Miscavige. And he also, and all the money goes into his defense fund. So guess what? This is Scientologists that want to get justice. I don't know. Maybe I'll look it up. They might not get it. He won't care. It looks like he won't care to give it to them. But they'll probably use a court-appointed attorney. So all of us activists are going right out there into the world. Okay. So I'm just going to cut out for a bit and then come back. So what else is going on? All right, let's see. Is this done? Yes, it is. This one's done. Okay. And the last scoop of the day. Looks like it's going to be a silver dollar. Okay. All right. That should do it for this one. Looks like this is going to be a silver dollar. All right. Now, do I actually believe that FBI is doing anything and want to help people? I doubt it very much. And I'm starting to get discouraged from it. I mean, it's frustrating when they're not doing anything and everything's in total chaos. So, and then there is Trump. It looks like they sided with him 100%. So I'm not going to actually say what's going to happen next. So, okay. All right. What is next? All right. As you know, I'll be doing stories on Scientology's history of lying. And in the history of lying, I'm going to have them hunting animals at the same time as lying. So there we go. Alrighty. Okay. That should do it for today. And as you know, I gotta buy me a coffee. So buy me a coffee. If you can't afford it, then you won't have to. So buy me a coffee if you can afford it. But if you can't afford it, don't. And hit the like, press subscribe, and I'm definitely going to see you tomorrow. Here we go.